Hello and welcome to another Interprise UK demonstration. Today I'm going to go over our new version sp483, just covering briefly the changes, updates and feature enhancements that we've made to the product. So if I log into my database, we'll find the first thing straight away is it doesn't go to the workflow screen, it goes to the calendar now. What this does is it initiates it, so any activity, any reminders that you've got will automatically come up and highlight. And as you can see, I've got one outstanding. If I double click on that, you'll see I've got a reminder info here. We've also corrected, as part of this, when you actually close the actual activity, this doesn't get reset to 5 minutes. Small improvement, but it's something that was requested by a number of our users. Okay, second thing that we've done, to improve security on the system, we've now got an additional option in System Manager. Okay, it's highlighted, it's hidden as standard, but you can unhide it in the user role setting, and that's called Search Dashboard Settings. And what this enables us to do is pick a user role and then untick these four options. So this is the export button that we see on the Find screen, the Advanced Search and the Allow Print. So if I just untick those, they've been saved. If I now log out, well, before I log out I'll show you what it looks like. Actually, but I don't need to log out. You can see there, compared to Customer, if I go to Customer, on the Customer screen I'll get Export, Advanced Search, Print. On the CRM screen I now don't have it. And this means that users can't just export the database straight out of Interprise. Another request that was made, in 482, in batch document printing, we grouped our sales orders by fully allocated, partly allocated and unallocated orders. A suggestion was made that that we actually enable this on the actual find order screen as well, because you can't actually drill down in the batch document print, you can obviously only tick them. So we've done that as well. So now you've got allocated, partly allocated and unallocated orders. If we just bob into a sales order, we've also added a new little button here on the sales order screen, and what that does is it makes all the item lines on the sales order drop ship. So you'll see now that's been ticked. Now if I just do 2 of these, I'll demonstrate another change that we've made. On the supplier side, under the drop ship part of the system, we've got this consolidate drop ship button. So as you can see, these sales orders, obviously I've got 2 sales orders that they've come from. So normally speaking, these would produce 2 separate sales orders. But because they're going to the same address, obviously they need to be coming from the same supplier as well. So if I just tick that button there, what I'll find is rather than generating 2 drop ships, it actually consolidates them and makes 1 drop ship. As you can see, all the item lines are on there, 1 drop ship, and that's come from those 2 sales orders. Okay. Next item that we've changed, on the customer screen, go here, under the recent history, which I think we've also changed the rather than it being the actual posting date, it's actually the document date now here. So if people backdate stuff, you actually do get the right information here based on the actual date of the document. This trading info in here, this now works to the actual fiscal year that the customer's working to, rather than just I think it worked January to December before. We've also made some improvements under the under the analysis tab. under the analysis tab, it's not a particularly good example here, but we've actually made this a rolling year now. So April is obviously the current month that I'm in, that's at the beginning, and then it goes all the way back 12 months to May 2010. It's a very small adjustment as well. We've got this sales transaction now. That used to say turnover. Because these figures in here actually include tax, we just changed it to say sales transactions. And we've also corrected, by the way, the profit figure in this column as well. The other change that we've made under recent sales is we've stopped duplicate items appearing in here. So if they were on the same document, they were appearing twice. And we've also made this a rolling year as well. It's now again April back to May, and what it does is it totals up the year as well. And these figures here are actually these traffic lights are now working off that rolling year. So what that's telling me is green is they've either bought the same or more in the last 12 months, so April to May, and this one here is telling me they've actually bought less in the last 12 months than the previous year. Okay, a couple of changes that we made on the sales order screen. So we go in, find our sales order is probably the easiest. First thing that we've done here is if a user amends a price on an item line, previously when they actually then went and changed the quantity, that would then update the price again. So if for some people they might just give a set price. They might just agree with the customer on the phone, but then the quantities or whatever get changed, and it's a bit frustrating that the price then recalculates and they've forgotten what price they'd given the customer. So that now holds the price. The other thing that we've done is we've slightly adjusted the search if you use right arrow. Now if I just pick, say, 1 gig of RAM and type 1 GB space RAM and type it exactly, capitals actually aren't important, exactly how it appears, if I press right arrow, all that search does is an exact string match. So it doesn't go through the description, you just search on the item name and it's an exact string match. So one, it's faster than doing a partial string or a wildcard search, and two, if a user has item code that may be like, say, test and then test 1, if you type test in a normal search and press like tab, it will bring up 2 results, test and test 1. But with the right arrow, if you press type test and right arrow, it will find test and ignore test 1, so the user won't be presented with a list of 2 items, but it will actually insert the item line. So it's just again just quickening up the order processing part of the system. Okay, one of the major improvements that we made within the system is the way the actual system allocates stock. We've slightly rejigged a few procedures in the background to change it, and the benefit of that is we've actually improved the speed of the allocate free stock routine. So one of the advantages of these changes that we've made with the procedures is an allocation. We can allocate on top of an allocation. So for example here, if we look at the frame, there's already one allocated. Previously, even if we had more frames in stock, it wouldn't allocate on top of that existing allocation. You have to deallocate, which for a lot of reasons isn't a good way to work. So if we now press auto allocate, that'll actually allocate on top of it, as you can see. We've also improved the speed, so we've looked at data with maybe 2,000 or 3,000 lines of sales order item lines, and that's where we've been essentially testing this part of the program, and the speed has probably increased 4 times, I would say. Another slight change that we've made in customer, on the find prospect and find customer screens. That's customer brought to our attention that you couldn't, obviously the ship to class templates decide on the GL class template for the ship to, and obviously that's what's used when a customer raises a sales order invoice. But when you create a customer with the same billing and shipping information, it's not possible to actually decide your ship to class template because it wasn't available. So we've now made this available, and obviously from that a user can dictate what GL class template they use as well for the ship to that they create. Also happens on the prospect screen. We've made a few improvements around the program. I'll just talk about these for a moment. We've the age debtors screen, we've now made it to a landscape mode, so that means when you get kind of large age debt, like over 1 million, it doesn't actually start dropping the pence underneath the line. So we sorted that out. There was an issue with coupons. If you applied a coupon after applying item lines, they weren't rounded properly, which then meant the receipt wasn't created correctly, and then it caused an issue with the bank reconciliation. We've addressed that. Quite a nice improvement on duplicating sales orders. Previously, the costs and the due date on the item line was being copied from the original sales order, which isn't right. So now that the costs are the current costs, and the line, the due date on the item lines is actually today's date, as it would be if you created the sales order from scratch. We've increased the drop ship country from 25 characters to 50. Certain countries have got more than 25, and that would cause it to the program to crash when creating the dropship item line. Small amendment on the sales order screen. If you enter the kit item onto the system and then slightly you adjusted that item code to be another stock item, the item line wasn't properly updated. We've also improved the cross-sell slightly, so it'll work across all warehouses and all units of measure. Okay, if we just move on to accounting, we've improved the foreign currency revaluation. Previously, the revaluation was still revaluing. It was still revaluing supplier settlement discounts. So even though they've been fully allocated and the supplier settlement discount taken, the stock revaluation was still taking that into account, which obviously isn't right. The other thing that we've done is we've changed the nominal code the bank account uses to post its variation to an actual loss or gain, which you see here, so there isn't one, rather than the accrued foreign currency loss or gain, which isn't right. If we move back to accounting, on the stock revaluation, we've also changed it. There's a couple of things that were wrong here. One, the button didn't used to get greyed out when you pressed it on the stock revaluation, and two, it was quite a complex issue, but essentially if something else had been posted that day that affected the 101 account, the stock control account, and the cost of goods sold posting the account, it wouldn't update the unposted flag correctly. This has been sorted now. If we move on to inventory, we just find ourselves an item, 101 frame. A couple of changes to fall in line, I guess, with customer as well. We've adjusted the analysis graph in here. Okay, so now it's working off the same figures. Sorry, not the best data in the world here, pretty blank, but it's now working off the same idea, where it's a rolling year that goes backwards from May to April, and the same on the amount column as well. One big change that we've made that we think makes quite a bit of difference. Previously on this screen we had committed and back order. Now, committed is essentially what's on sales order, obviously back order is what's on back order. Now, having had a lot of feedback from customers, we believe having an on SO figure, which essentially encapsulates both the committed and the back order figure in one value, makes more sense. And we've also put the allocated figure, which is the stock that's been allocated, on here as well. So we've just rejigged this general screen so it shows an on SO, which is a combination of committed and back order. The fields are still the same, the tables in the background, so if people have written reports and that kind of thing on them, they won't change. What we've done is just sum those two fields together on this particular screen. We've also, as I said, shown the allocating the free stock, the allocating the unallocated figures on here as well, rather than users having to drill down, just faster. We've also, because we slightly rejigged the tables in the background, this figure, when you drill down, should also be much faster than it has been, because the field, that the table is much smaller that it's looking at. The second change that we've made here, if we just have a look at the costings tab, is on the average cost. Okay, not a good one to use because I don't have a bill on it. Let's go and find one that has. Just go and pick a supplier bill. Okay, what we've done here is we've now changed, slightly rejigged this table in here. So we've now got a build-in stock column so that users can see. Previously, average cost, this drill down we think has complicated the issue rather than simplified it. So what we've done is we've got a build-in stock column here, and that essentially is what is multiplied by the existing average cost figure before being added to the existing the cost price on this bill or adjustment in and quantity. So for example here, the calculation to get to £1 would have been £1 times 4,930 plus 5 times pound, and then obviously divided by 4,935. So a user can quickly see how the pound average cost has got to. The other thing that we've done as well is if a user resets it, they have the ability to clear history, and if they do reset it, we've now put an entry in the system, so it makes it a lot more it makes it clearer for other people then coming in and see, oh yeah, that was reset by a user. And I think it also puts the user code here. While we're on this screen, made a couple of changes here. On the promotional pricing tab, if you now add a supplier, that automatically inserts the supplier in here as well. So user can't actually add another user, add a part code in separately to the promotional pricing tab. It's done from within within the promotional pricing tab. We've also changed it so the minimum is 0.01, not 1. So that way, if you deal in before the minimum quantity was always 1, so if you enter the quantity of a half, then the price list wouldn't apply. So now we've got it from 0.01. Second thing that we've changed, the item ledger previously used to be quite slow and cumbersome. What we've now done is we've now changed what actually appears here, and this essentially is used for what documents are left in stock. So if I use FIFO stock valuation, this is the data that would be used. So all it will store in here is documents in. As soon as that document in has been used, then it will be deleted out of this screen. So you can see here I've got 4,880 in stock, and these are all the documents that make it up. For a full history of what's actually happened, we've then got a transactions table that lists everything that's gone on. So these are all the invoices, adjustments in, adjustments out. We've tested this table that comes up here to about 1 million rows, and for certain stock items that maybe have 80, 90 or 100,000 entries, and it probably comes up in sub 10 seconds, so it's much faster than it used to be. And then you can also, as in most places in Enterprise, you can group by these columns. We've also improved the speed of the history tab. That previously was quite slow, so we've looked at the query behind there and speeded it up. Next change that we've made within Enterprise is we've changed the stock take to be more in line with the rest of the system. Previously, it used to when you ever used to save, it used to say, "Do you want to complete?" It was obviously post the transactions, which is really dangerous, especially if you had a number of people entering the figures in. It was really easy to accidentally click that, and then it would post it, and that would be that. What we've now got is, following the rest of the logic, is a save and close and a save and post button. And as guessed, they work like the rest of the system. So I can do a stock take, I can keep saving the figures, I can come out of it, I can go back in, I can then enter my values, save it again, and at no point does it ask me to complete. It's only going to, even if I save and close, come back out, It's only when I actually go to save and post that it actually is going to say, do you want to complete this stock take. The other thing that we've done as well is we've put a little filter down here, so users, what it does, it works off the category code, and you see here I've got bikes, guns and none. So if I just put guns in, you can see that filters my list. I can also get a bit more complicated and start doing ands and ors and all that kind of stuff, but you know, that's just a secondary thing. The point behind this was so you could actually filter on categories. So if people were stock taking by category, it made it much easier. And obviously, if I save and post, it's then asking me, do I want to complete it? And it does the same thing and post the journals like it's done previously. One of the last features that we've added into the system is a request was made by a number of users that we've got that our computer kits shouldn't just work off the prices within the kit, but they should also be a way for a user to actually bundle items together, but the pricing still comes from the price that user would get if they bought those products individually. So we've now got a tick box here that says use customer pricing for items. So if I then go and raise a sales order, okay, and I'm going to give special pricing, so I'm going to put the 2 gig motherboard in there, and I'm going to put that selling price of £5. That's £805. Now I can either do kit price, or I can do, probably be easier to explain if we do item price. Okay, and what we've seen there is that 2 gig motherboard has been added onto my item line as £5 rather than whatever the normal rate is that's held in the kit. Another nice feature, obviously we've got that working on the web as well, which is really quite nice. So it's another good feature really. One point that we've fixed up in inventory, just talk about it, is previously if you had an assembly item and you GRN'd it, i.e. you bought the item in, the item wasn't properly added into a table in the background. That's now been rectified. Okay, if I move on to supplier, if I just show you the improvements we've done in auto generate purchase order, what we've done is in here we've added a new menu item called minimums and maximums, and also we've improved reorder points. So I just quickly show you, going through the usual options that we've got. And what we've got is a handgun. Now if we look at the handgun, our reorder point's 1. We've got a potential stock of minus 9,956. Now previously what that would have done, that would have ordered 1 more than the reorder point, so they'd taken the stock to 2. Now what we've done is slightly adjusted it so that it'll actually order back up to the reorder point unless there's a usual order quantity entered under the part code tab in inventory, in which case it will order, irrespective of where the potential stock is, it will order the usual order quantity. So in my case it's 10,000, so that will take the stock back up to whatever. Now if after that we still need more stock to reorder, then it'll order again. So back into auto generate purchase order, we use minimums and maximums. So this will only display items that we've actually created, set a minimum and maximum for. It will get rid of everything. It won't show anything else for ordering unless they've been changed. So here for handlebars, my maximum is 1,000. My potential stock is 90, which is less than my minimum, which is 100. So that's telling me to order 910. So just another way of ordering stock, depending on how the companies operate. A couple of other changes that we've made within supplier. Before you could post an expense bill that could be posted without a nominal code with a certain set of keystrokes. We've sorted out that. And also the age creditor detailed by document date report used to drop any transactions on the 59th day. That's also been rectified. Couple of things on System Manager. Previously, this was introduced in 4.8.2. If you had amended report layouts, the page numbers would show 2 of 1. That's been sorted now. And the import wizard would not accept opening balances of a quantity less than 1. So if you were importing 0.5 as an opening balance, it wouldn't allow. That's now also been sorted. I think that pretty much concludes the new features and the bug fixes and enhancements that we've done to sp483. We're really proud of the work that's been carried out by the Philippines and the UK team here. So thanks ever so much for everyone's efforts, and thank you very much for listening. Cheers, bye bye.